So the question is, well, why did they do that? And how about for you guys, did you extend your hand to the other person? Did they most likely extend their hand to you?
Yes.
Okay, so why did they do that? Why did they do that?
Program.
Because they're conditioned to do it. They've been taught to do this since they were my son's age. So let me ask you something, and I'm sure none of us actually do this now, but how many of you guys, when you actually ate pie, this was like before we found pictures, when you ate pie, you ate it from the tip towards the back. How many of you guys did that when you ate pie? Like every single person. So why do we do this? Because you're human beings and you're conditioned to do things. So once you start to understand people and their condition to do things, then we can start to get rid of some of this fear, right? When you ask someone, can you do me a favor? So we talked about getting the word out, right? If you ask someone, hey, would you mind doing me a favor and helping me spread the word about this thing that I'm doing, about losing 100 pounds, or about losing 30 pounds, or about coming off of medications, or about having enough energy to pay for my kid. If you do me a favor, what do you think they're most likely to do? Yes. If you do the favor, they're already conditioned to do this, you just gotta understand it. So it doesn't matter if they're a doctor, if they're a lawyer, if they're a stay-at-home mom, if they're really handsome like me. If you ask them to do you a favor, then they'll most likely do it. So once you start to understand these things about people in general, then we can start to get rid of some of those fears. And none of us are probably in this room because we don't love people, right? We love people, but how do we actually work with them? So I want to go through some of those things. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that we can write down is people literally don't care what you know until they know what you care, or until they know that you care. So they don't care what you know until they know that you care. They don't care what you know until they know what you care. So there's different levels that you're going to be on with everyone. And one of the first levels that we need to get on is a level called trust. And you could be the smartest person in the world or have the best story in the world and things like that, but the person doesn't really care because they're thinking about what's in it for them. So one of the things that we need to do is get really, really good at being, with listening and asking questions and showing people that we really, really care about them. If we can't do that, then we'll never get to the levels that we need to get to on them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So how are some of the ways, when we're thinking about this business, what are some of the ways that you can show a person, a pre-client, a client, a pre-coach, or a coach, that you actually care about them?
Invest in them.
Listen, ask questions. What's that? Thanking them? Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes? Uh-huh. For sure. Yeah, just being a human being, basically. Yeah. So, so one of the things that I love to do is just say, I was thinking about you, no matter what. So if it's someone that's on my contact list, and this list is full of names, probably people I haven't talked to in a long time, one of the best ways that I like to approach them is, hey, I was just thinking about you today. Like, you ran across my mind, and I wanted to give you a shot. And for them, it's one of the best ways to actually start letting them know that I was actually thinking about them. If you go up to people and you say, I was thinking about you, do you think some of their walls are going to come down? Mm-hmm. Right? And can we actually penetrate them to either have them understand more about what we've been through, if their walls are down? Mm-hmm. But naturally, someone's walls are going to be up at the beginning because we're actually conditioned to do that. We're taught to do that. So if we could just say, I was just thinking about you, or you were on my mind, or I just, I was driving and you popped into my head, so I wanted to reach out to you. That's one of the ways that really helps their walls come down really, really easy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So let's talk about one of the things that we need to do a very, very good job with is asking questions. So most people are not conditioned to ask questions. Has anyone been in a conversation and like you literally can't get through what you want to say because that other person is ready to talk?
Yeah.
Yep.
Has anyone done that? Okay, so this happens to me daily, so many conversations that I'm in, that I'm just wondering, when are they actually going to ask me about me? Right? And this happens often, and we're usually that person. So what are some tips and techniques that we can do to actually ask better questions? So one of the things that we can do is have great eye contact and actually be intentional about asking them questions. The other thing that I like to do is just kind of teach yourself to pause a couple seconds before you actually begin to reply to them. Okay, so just wait a little bit. You could even count it in your head. It might feel weird, but they don't know that you're doing it. And just say 1001, 1002. Okay, and then you can proceed to ask the question. Try not to get in the habit of cutting people off. And this is certainly true if we're talking about a pre-client and we're really trying to find out where they are. What I see that most new people do and most new coaches, and me coming from a sales background, I did this all the time because I wanted to control things. But most of the time when we're trying to ask folks questions, we're thinking about, well, how can I get to a point to where I could actually talk and impress upon them? Yeah? And so one of the things that we can do is just think about falling in love with their story and trying to get to a point to where we are just so interested that we can ask naturally the next question. Well, tell me more about that. Like, where are you at with that? Like, why is that a struggle for you? Who else do you know that's felt like that? How long has it been since you have actually been where you want to be? Stuff like that. Okay, so asking questions is a big part of having dynamic people skills. Now, one of the things we said is listening. Now, there's something called active listening, so where your whole goal, and try this, write this down for me, please. Try to have conversations today to where your whole goal is to ask questions and not say anything. Not once talk about yourself, but just ask them questions and really get in tune with what it is that they're telling you. So if you can make it through a conversation today, have this be a goal, with just doing that, then we'll be a step closer. Now, most of these things are skills, most of these things have to be learned, most of these things actually have to be a desire, like you have to want to do these things, and they're not just gonna happen naturally because you haven't been conditioned to do them, right? There's some things we're conditioned to do. Listening and asking questions isn't one of them. Does that make sense? Do you have a question?
Yeah, are you looking to pre-qualify them or condition them?
I don't understand. Why I'm asking him questions?
Can you summarize what he said? We couldn't hear him.
Sure. Here.
The question, your answer, you're getting them to answer a question. Okay, that's your maybe. Are you controlling? Are you? What word are you pre-qualifying them for some sort of answer, or lowering their walls as if you're conditioning? You're going to condition the conversation. So if they feel warm enough to talk to you, there's a purpose behind this. And I was wondering, what is this? I mean, why are you having to approach it this way? You know, you're pre-qualifying them.
This is a question I really want to understand. Has anyone else kind of felt this or experienced this?
Are you asking why are we doing this? Like, what are we gonna get out of, like, all day today just asking questions? Like, what is it gonna build in us?
Well, you're questioning the people, you're questioning the idea of question them. Behind that question, there's gotta be a reason to get them to.
Okay, I understand. Yes, very good question. So, I know, it's me, it's definitely me. So my purpose of asking questions is, remember I said one of the best ways to work with someone, or one of the best ways to connect with someone, is for them to understand, for them to feel that you understand them. Does that make sense? Yes. So one of the best way to have someone feel like you understand them is to ask them continuously about them. And then once we do that, then it's a beautiful relationship. Because now they finally felt like they matter. Yeah.
But it has to be genuine.
Well,
I
of
mean,
course it has to be genuine.
I know,
right.
but yeah, so, I mean, I think, like, you come from such a big heart, and he's asking, like, if this is a system. I mean, like you said, we all like people, so it's a natural thing to want to know more about people, but if you try to formulate something out of what he's teaching us, it's gonna be too orchestrated. It has to be, I mean, genuinely, we want to know about people because we care, that's why we're all here.
I agree. Okay, so one thing, if we can write it down, is WIIFM. So if you just know this about people, then it will make these conversations and us getting out there a lot easier to talk to them. And what does this stand for you guys?
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? What's in it for me? So most of the folks that you are going to be engaged in, no matter if it's in Take Shape for Life, no matter if you're talking to your spouse, no matter if it's a boss in your corporate world, no matter if it's your kids, they're thinking, well, that's cool, but what's in it for me? Like, that sounds really good, but I want to know what's in it for me. And so if we can just kind of understand that, then this whole question process becomes a heck of a lot easier, because once we ask questions and we get them to feel like, get them to feel we're genuinely concerned and they understand that we want to know about them, and now they're starting to understand, well, I'm starting to get what's in it for me. And so it makes the relationship so much easier. And this isn't a Take Shape for Life thing, this is just a life thing, right? So the other thing that we can do, write down this acronym. How do we, because this is a people business, but how do I actually engage with people if I haven't seen them in a while, or or I'm just meeting them and things like that? So another acronym we can write down is FORD, F-O-R-D. So when we first meet someone, the F, we can easily just begin to ask them about their family. So how's the family doing? How's the new kids? Everybody's well. Is the family going on any trips? Stuff like that, right? So this is easy to engage with someone if we haven't seen them in a while, if we know them very well. But this is an easy conversation starter because people love talking about themselves. So they'll begin to start talking about their family. The O is their occupation. How's the job going? Is it getting any less stressful? This is a great way to bring on coaches. Have you found that you're working less hours? How's that going? Right? So you can easily ask about the job. The R is, I actually forget what the R is. What's the R?
Recreation.
Recreation. Right. Have you done anything fun lately? It's the summertime. Are you going on any trips? You're going skydiving? What are you doing for fun these days? And it's an easy way to move into a conversation. And then, oh my gosh, that sounds great. Hey, would you mind doing me a favor? Oh my gosh, I just lost 30 pounds, man. I'm feeling great. I'm helping people now. Would you mind helping me spread the word? Very easy ways to flow into conversation. And the D, what's the D? Dream. Oh my gosh. This is a big one. Do this like this week and see how many responses you get. So what are your dreams? Like, what's your purpose? If people actually answer that, I'll give you $5 myself. Still struggling. No, but ask them about their dreams. Like, have you recently thought about, what do you want to do? What are you here for? 5 years down the line, have you considered where you want to be? And this is good because most people don't think about these things because it's too hard to. Because we're just too busy. We have kids, we have lives and stuff. And now we can actually get to a point to where they're going to start thinking, and then they'll just start spouting off stuff. Well, I haven't really thought about it in a while. I have been pretty comfortable, but if I could do X, Y, and Z, gosh, I think I'd take a trip here or whatever. So this is a great way just to move in the conversation. You can do this wherever. You can be at a dinner party, you can be at a barbecue, you can have set intentions to get the word out that day. Do this with your health coaches. Do this with your spouses. Do it with your kids. I just did it with my son yesterday. We're in the hot tub, and I asked him what was his dreams. He's 4. I swear to God, he said this. He says, well, profits are better than wages. I'll keep you around, Ezra. So, dynamic people skills. One of the things that we can do as well is we're going to be engaging in a lot of conversations. You guys would agree?
Yes.
And if we're not engaging in a lot of conversations, that probably means we don't want big businesses. And if we don't want big businesses, that probably means we don't want to assist a lot of people to help, right? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. So if we're going to be in these conversations, then one of the things that I want you guys to start practicing on is when you're talking to people, actually lean in when they're talking to you or you're talking to them. And what this does too is starts to lower those walls of resistance. They start to feel understood. It's a psychological thing, but it works really well. Just leaning in and really be focused on that person. No matter how much hoopla is running around, really be focused on that person. If you have the intentions to get the word out that day and you're going to make some phone calls, try to minimize the things that are going on. Now, I know there's some people in here that have a lot of kids and they're running around and you're thinking, how the heck am I going to focus on just being focused on that people or that person? Just set your intentions to do it, and then we can start from there. So try to minimize the activity that's going on and be really focused on that one conversation. Gosh, there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Where was I? Okay, leaning in. I was in leaning in. Okay. The other thing that we can do is literally, we're out there making relationships, we're talking to people, things like that. One of the things that we can do is just something that's so simple but makes a big difference is just work on your handshakes. How many of you guys have shaken hands with someone and it feels like a wet noodle? Okay, so this again is a skill set. This is something you can get better with. If you're willing to work at it, it will just get better and better and better. Just like asking questions, just like listening, just like leaning in, your handshake makes a big difference. So have nice, firm handshake, look people in their eyes, stand with posture, be bold. And this makes a big difference with people because most of us, it's an energy thing. And so if a person feels like there's some timidness there, you can always feel who's stronger in that kind of relationship. Whichever one of those people are more nervous, then that means that the other person is stronger in that relationship. So you want to be the strong one. And so something as simple as a handshake can go a long way. These are things that we're not taught. So now that we're working in the people business and we want dynamic people skills, then these are things that we can actually get good with. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. In the slide that I had at a national convention, I had, I really wanted to focus on compliments. So how many people in here, raise your hand please, if you like to be complimented?
Hello.
Okay. Why? Makes you feel good about yourself?
Shows the person has a lot of energy, they're supportive, deserving.
Yes. What else? Boost your self-esteem. There it is.
Makes you feel like people actually saw you.
Makes you feel like people actually saw you. Any more? How much does it cost to give someone a compliment? Free? Okay. Just think about in your own situation, how often do you find yourself complimenting people? Good. So one of the things that I've learned during this journey of health coaching, pretty much everything that you'll hear me say I've learned, because most of these things are skill related, which means they can be taught. That's why you don't need to be a physician, you don't need to have an MBA. You can be Justin, right? And growing a big business and assisting a lot of people because he just works and he works and he works. Now, who's going to work is the question. So these things are just skill-based. So you can give compliments for free. So one of the quotes that I love by a guy named John Maxwell is literally go throughout your day, and he says that giving compliments is like breathing oxygen into someone's soul. So if you wake up with the purpose of breathing oxygen into someone's soul all day long, then wouldn't that be kind of cool? And it doesn't cost you anything. And you could just give these things freely. Now, I can tell you, if you want to build a business of people, giving compliments is something you're going to want to do all the time. All the time. If someone's on your share list, on your contact list, that you haven't spoken to in a while, and you just happen to be friends with them on Facebook, one of the easiest ways to bring down those walls is to give them a compliment. Maybe send them a message or something. Hey, I saw that you guys were, going out of town. Your family is literally so beautiful. I can't believe it. But spend more of your time giving compliments, and you'll see that that people will respond to that, because everyone likes feeling good. Everyone likes feeling like they matter and things like that. And this is something you can do for free. So if you can write down and try to maximize this, just giving compliments freely. It doesn't take anything. I like your hat. I like your glasses. You look so pretty today. Whatever. That's really going to help you boost your business. And the great thing that I love about doing big gestures like that is it doesn't only help that person, but it helps whoever is witness to that compliment as well. Whenever you do something good for someone else, it actually boosts enzymes within them, but it boosts enzymes for anyone else that sees that as well. So if you want to build your client base, or you want to build your coaching team, give compliments so freely that other people see that, and not only will they feel good, but they'll actually seek that. And then when you give compliments, really compliment the person's action, especially if they're a client or a health coach, because once you compliment their action, it will actually entice them to do it more.
Well,
Yes?
that's also, it's not just hitting the like button on Facebook. That
Yeah.
doesn't.
Right.
Good point. So he says it's not just hitting the like button. So it's a business of people. So we have to go out there and seek relationships. So that's pretty much all my time. Is there time for questions, or who's coming up next?
Whitney and I.
Okay. So welcome back to the stage, Global Director,
Great job.
Greg Russ, President of